Pablo groaned, feeling as if his bones were about to break and his organs would spasm, causing excruciating pain. Instantly, everyone in the VIP room was stunned by what had just happened. The contrast between the two men was stark. Pablo was nearly 6 feet 5 inches, with a muscular, bear-like physique. In comparison, Dustin was slender and frail, with a thin, sickly cat-like body. Dustin subdued the giant with a single hand, leaving everyone in awe. "Is having a gun really that impressive?" Dustin asked, holding Pablo by the throat. "Now, who's in trouble?" Pablo's breath caught in his throat, his face flushed, and his forehead veins bulged. He tried to struggle but found his limbs weak. He felt a sudden surge of fear. He had always thought of Dustin as weak as a kitten, but now he looked like a fierce tiger. His strength was so great that Pablo had not doubted that Dustin could snap his neck easily. "This is insane. He's out of control. Let Mr. Hands go right now." After a short pause, the VIP room erupted into chaos. The group of gangsters in suits began shouting, "Dustin, have you lost your mind? How dare you touch Mr. Hands? You're only getting yourself into trouble. Let him go," Cody exclaimed. "Reese, we're at the Golden Balcony. If you hurt Mr. Hands here, you'll suffer consequences you can't imagine," Harper said worriedly. She had brought Dustin in, and any harm to Pablo would put her in a difficult position. "I didn't mean to do this, but you put me on the spot. You think I'm easy, don't you?" Dustin said, taking Pablo's gun and pressing it to his forehead. He asked coldly, "How does it feel to look into a gun's barrel?" "Kid, don't mess around. You hurt me, and your family will suffer," Pablo stammered. "Is that so?" Dustin slowly lowered the gun, placing it in Pablo's mouth. "Do you think I'm scared of your threats?" Pablo was in a cold sweat as he sensed Dustin's deadly intention. "Handsome, don't be hasty. If you hurt Mr. Hands, you'll never leave here alive," Lana said urgently. "Ms. Cameron, he has no intention of letting me go. So, let's use this as an opportunity to gain the upper hand." Dustin put the gun on the trigger. "Wait," Cody intervened, saying, "Dustin, let's talk. This is just a business deal. There's no need for violence. Just put the gun down, and we'll talk it through." "There's nothing to talk about. I already told you the formula isn't for sale," Dustin replied coldly. "All right. If you're not willing to part with the formula, we won't force it on you." Cody quickly agreed with a forced smile. "If this doesn't work out, why don't we work together to promote the ointment? It could be a great long-term partnership for all of us. What do you think?" "That sounds promising, but I doubt your sincerity," Dustin spoke, his demeanor softening. Dustin contemplated the situation. It would be easy to kill Pablo, but there could be potential complications if anyone with malicious intentions found out later. It would ruin his whole plan. "As for sincerity, you can trust me on this one," Cody responded with a resolute look. "I pledge my integrity that as long as you let Mr. Hands go, we'll be in a long-term partnership. We'll stand by each other through thick and thin." "What about you?" Dustin asked as he looked into Pablo's eyes. With the gun in his mouth and unable to speak, Pablo nodded in agreement. "Mr. Hands is on board," Cody said with a satisfied grin. "We'll be like brothers from now on." Pablo remained silent but continued to nod. "When you find yourself in someone else's territory, you have to comply. And when they point a gun at you, you have to do what they want." "All right, I'll believe you," Dustin said, slowly releasing Pablo and casually throwing the gun into a nearby trash can. Pablo relaxed but was overcome by his own coughing. A moment later, sweat was pouring down his back. "All right, we got it sorted out. Let's put our differences aside and have a good time together." Cody chuckled, exchanging a secretive look with Pablo. Pablo quickly caught on, stepped into the crowd, and shouted, "Hey, bastard. You dare to threaten me? You're asking for trouble. Someone, grab him." Instantly, the group of gangsters in suits surrounded Dustin. "Hold on." Lana abruptly stepped in front of Dustin. "Mr. Hands, we had a deal. Why are you resorting to violence now?" "Humph. I agreed before, but now I've changed my mind," Pablo declared. "You've got a reputation to uphold, So you're not afraid of public criticism? Lana frowned. Criticism? Pablo scoffed. This is my turf. After I'm done with this kid and have my way with you, I'll keep all this under wraps. No one will ever find out. Yoyuri's so shameless, Lana exclaimed. I'll tell you what I've got in store. When we get closer later, you'll get it, Pablo leered. Pablo, I've given you a chance. If you threaten me again, I'll make you regret it, Dustin said indifferently. Of course, he didn't believe what Cody and Pablo were saying. He was just testing the waters. If the two of them genuinely wanted to patch things up, he could pretend it never happened. Unfortunately, a leopard cannot change its spots. Regret. Pablo roared fiercely, bastard. I walked into your trap earlier. Do you still think you can turn the tables? You can try it all you want. Pablo snarled as he saw Dustin stand there with his hands behind his back, unfazed. Damn. I'm sure you won't back down until you're dead. Get him now. Pablo gave the order. Take him down. The gang of gangsters swarmed at Dustin. Dustin, leave them to me. Maximus sneered and transformed into a ghostly shadow, crashing into the crowd. Within a few seconds, the air was filled with screams and cries of outrage. Maximus displayed the prowess of a seasoned martial artist and was in complete control of the fight. Under Dobson's tutelage, Maximus honed his skills to the level of a divinity master. Although the gangsters from the Golden Balcony had some basic combat skills, they couldn't hold a candle to a martial arts master. Within 5 minutes, most of them were sprawling on the ground. This was easy. Maximus scoffed and crossed his arms, not breaking a sweat. How is this possible? Pablo's eyes widened in alarm at the sight of his wounded henchman. He had assumed he had the advantage, thinking he could just take back his words. He didn't realize that Dustin had a highly skilled master at his side. Who is this guy? He's too powerful. Cody was frightened. He had assumed Maximus was just a harmless attendant and had given no thought to his presence. He's fighting dozens of people on his own. Is he even human? Harper couldn't believe her eyes. Movies don't make scenes like this, do they? Of course, he was so confident. He had the protection of a skilled master. Lana was surprised but relieved. Just a moment ago, she thought their situation would be dire. But suddenly, things had taken a promising turn. After dealing with the gangsters, Maximus glared maliciously at Pablo. Dustin, what do we do with this big guy? Let's break one of his arms first, Dustin calmly proposed. Sure, no problem. Maximus rushed forward and pinned Pablo to the ground immediately. Why wait? Let's talk this out. I believe we can resolve this. Pablo panicked, but Maximus twisted his arm before he could say anything. Pablo screamed in agony. Cody and Harper watched in horror. Their backs stiffened with fear at the sudden downfall of the haughty Pablo. Pablo, you made a grave mistake, Dustin asserted as he approached the giant-like figure. I gave you 2 chances that you didn't take. Instead, you chose a path that will lead to your death. How am I supposed to handle this now? Kid, I surrender now. Pablo gritted his teeth and conceded, you've beaten and humiliated me. Let's end this now. We won't cross paths again. Can we agree on that? You think I'm a gullible fool, don't you? Dustin retorted coldly. You have broken our agreement and my trust. You were arrogant when you had the advantage. And now you're willing to compromise when the tables are turned. There is no room for compromise in this world. Kid, don't push your luck. Pablo threatened sternly. All my men are waiting outside. If I give the order, they will storm in here and kill you. You're still trying to act tough, aren't you? Maximus snapped. He grabbed Pablo's hair and slammed his face into the gambling table. It was so hard that a resounding bang echoed through the room. Pablo's front teeth shattered, his nose flattened, and blood sprayed all over his face. The 2 of you are going to die. I'll have you killed. Pablo wailed in a strangled, anguished voice. Break one of his legs, Dustin commanded. Yes, sir. Without hesitation, Maximus planted his foot on Pablo's knee.